Queen is back, and her name is not Elizabeth. Her name is Boeing 747-400, and the world's largest operator is bringing her back despite what everyone was expecting. Lufthansa is returning several 747-400s to service from its hub in Frankfurt, operating to New York, Dubai, Seoul, and half a dozen other cities, so of course I had to get on board. I was in New York trying to decide between flying any number of comfortable aircraft back to Europe, the A350, the 787, but then I saw the 747-400 in the schedule. There was no way I could choose anything else. So I booked the very first flight from New York to Frankfurt after her return, and the excitement was palpable. If you want to experience the 747-400 while you can, I strongly recommend flying her on the outbound flight LH400 from Frankfurt to New York. The departure and arrival times are great and you get to enjoy daylight the whole way. This return flight LH401, on the other hand, is absolutely brutal, possibly one of my top 3 worst red-eyes ever. It departs New York before 4 p.m., arriving in Frankfurt at 5 a.m. the next day. In other words, it lands at 11 p.m. New York time, at which point you're expected to go about your day in Europe. Not ideal, to say the least. Anyhow, Oscar and I arrived at JFK just after 1 p.m., having taken the subway to the air train to Terminal 1. There was basically no line for check-in or security, and we made it to the lounge in no time. The Lufthansa lounge in New York, ironically, was more crowded than the terminal, so it definitely felt like one of those situations where you were sitting in the lounge just because it's called a lounge, when in fact it would have been much better to just sit in the terminal. But at least there's free food, so why not? Today is a pretty significant day for Lufthansa in New York, but so far I don't think they're making a big deal out of it. I'm curious to see at the gate or on board, because us ABVX know it's a big deal. After just 20 minutes there, I headed to the gate and my goodness, my breath was genuinely taken away. I haven't seen a 747-400 since March 2020, let alone flown in one. It was such an emotional moment, and I thought of all the lucky ABVX who by some miracle have now been given the chance to fly the 747-400 again for a limited time before it's too late. Boarding started 10 minutes behind schedule and we were the first on board, so we ended up walking down with the station manager to the plane. I asked him if he was excited that the 747 was back, and boy was he ever. Then all of a sudden I was entering the Queen and headed to my first class business class seat, 1A. I haven't flown the Lufthansa 747-400 in years, since before they installed the so-called new business class, but oh boy is this an interesting configuration. On Lufthansa's 8 remaining 747-400s, they have roughly 375 seats across 3 cabins: business, premium economy, and economy. This aircraft is used on high-demand routes where there's no demand for first class, which is why I'm sort of surprised to see it on routes like New York and Dubai. Surely this would suit large leisure markets such as Orlando, Rio, and Cape Town much better. Anyhow, on this configuration, there is an incredible 67 business class seats, divided in 3 cabins. 1 in the nose where I was sitting, 1 behind the nose, and 1 on the upper deck. Without a doubt, the worst place which you absolutely want to avoid sitting is the downstairs rear business class cabin with the 2-3-2 configuration. A middle seat in business class? I mean, I'd rather swim than sit here. I'll discuss the benefits and drawback of the nose versus the upper deck later in the video, but there are a bunch of unique seats like the center seat or where I was sitting in row 1 that are sort of bucket list items you want to tick off before you even start thinking about which place is necessarily the most comfortable. Comparing this to the 747-8, which has first class in the nose, this feels like an entirely different aircraft type. I get the sense that they asked how many seats can we fit in? Well, okay, 12. Well, let's double that and see what happens. Row 1 has 4 seats that are all so close it basically feels like the biggest single row of business class seats ever. There isn't anything in front of you here. Only the antenna and a little bit of metal. Even the pilots are sitting way behind you on the upper deck. This is what makes the 747 so unique and exciting. Waiting at my seat was a pillow and blanket, both of which were great. Lufthansa's seat itself needs no comment. I'd say economy class literally offers more privacy than this, and possibly even more storage. There's a tiny storage locker on the floor which contains your amenity kit and a water bottle, and that's it when it comes to storage. To your left, you find the built-in headphones along with an armrest which can be lowered, which makes the bed a bit wider. On the right, you have your seat controls, the tray table, and a remote, which isn't remotely user-friendly. Probably the worst part though was that the seat was filthy. There were crumbs and oil stains which made me think the seat was not cleaned between flights.
Disgusting!
In the blink of an eye and a glass of German tropical juice later, we were pushing back. If you've ever wanted to know what it feels like to sit in the cockpit but you don't have any pilot friends, this is a close second best. The nose seats give you this insanely cool hybrid view where you can see forward and to the side. We taxied out during a beautiful late fall sunset, and as the engines roared for takeoff, the Queen really felt as powerful as ever. Again, how insanely cool is this view? So let's talk a little bit more about being on board this beauty. She's definitely showing her age in some places, which we love, like the retro overhead bins, the overhead panels, which don't have individual air vents by the way, and these bathrooms, which Oscar commented felt very Soviet Union. The center galley is also so tiny and quirky, I love it. As I returned to my seat, there was no sign of service starting anytime soon, so I checked out the entertainment system. It's fine, but you're probably best off bringing your own entertainment if you're picky, or utilizing the in-flight Wi-Fi, which costs 30 euros for a full flight. I ended up forking out the money for this pass and was actually pretty impressed with the speeds. Now, from internet speeds to amenity kit, tell me this isn't giving us major lederhosen vibes. I thought the design was sort of fun and it contained the bare necessities, but it wasn't bad by any means. I'm giving 3 of these unopened kits away to anyone who likes my new Facebook page at the link in the description, so your odds of winning are pretty decent if you go like it now. Before I start talking about the service, which is where this video gets truly strange, what if I told you I am a fine art collector? I actually invest in multi-million-dollar paintings from artists like Picasso and Basquiat. We all know the billionaires can afford to buy anything they want, from private islands to entire sports teams, which is typically out of the question for people like you and me. But today's sponsor opens the door to one of the most exclusive asset classes there is: contemporary art. Why art? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, art is among the hottest markets on earth. Its prices have appreciated in value more than the S&P 500 total return by almost threefold. On top of that, it beat real estate, gold, and 90% of cryptocurrencies during the same time. And there are no signs of the market slowing down. Also, since the stock market is out of control right now and inflation just broke 6.2%, a new 30-year high, diversifying your portfolio with alternative assets is more important than ever. So what does our sponsor Masterworks do? Masterworks will spend $400 million buying art from the likes of Picasso and Andy Warhol next year, and break up the paintings into shares, giving regular people like you or me access to invest in fine art without without spending millions. Getting started with Masterworks takes just a few clicks. You visit their website, create an account, browse their artwork, and you can instantly diversify your portfolio with one of the oldest and most stable assets around. For example, they sold a Banksy painting for a net 32% annual return in 2020. There's so much demand for a membership, the wait times are crazy to even join the platform. But Masterworks is letting you check them out by skipping the wait list using the link below. For some bizarre reason, which I'll assume was crew unfamiliarity with the 747-400, the meal service didn't start until 1 hour after takeoff. The flight attendants came around saying anything to drink rather informally, and I asked, "Do you by any chance have menus?" Turns out they'd forgotten to hand those out, and I had reminded them. The cover of this menu is very appealing, right? This represents the Lufthansa vibe overall, to be honest. Supposedly fancy, but actually pretty rotten. The service on board is not close to what you'd expect from a 5-star airline. The seat has a lot of sort of confusing features, and many passengers were asking their seatmates for help trying to figure out various seat functions. On other 5-star airlines, flight attendants usually offer passengers a tour of the seat while boarding if it's their first time on board. Needless to say, for some reason Lufthansa doesn't deliver on its 5-star ranking in this area. Meals were served 80 minutes into the flight, and to put it nicely, the food reminded me of a teenage boy who hasn't discovered hygiene yet. Pungent and unappealing. The appetizer was the best part, but oh boy, the main was inedible. The rice tasted like feet, the tofu tasted like cat pee smells, and the vegetables were way overcooked. Thankfully, the joke of a meal service was done only 20 minutes after it started, so I could go to sleep and recover from that trauma. Send thoughts and prayers, guys. Now, the bed, surprisingly, is pretty comfortable here in the nose. Although the seat is pretty narrow, I had no problem getting comfortable whatsoever. What I did have a problem with, however, was falling asleep at 5:30 p.m. New York time. Especially considering that my body was being thrown around with some intense turbulence pretty much the entire night. So 4.5 sleepless hours later, the Kraken, that's me, opened its eyes, and suddenly, like by some miracle, there was actually some life in the service. A flight attendant flew over to my seat and asked if they could get me anything to drink. Keep in mind, this was 20 minutes before landing. Now this made me genuinely happy because I've become used to flying Middle Eastern carriers where they basically force you to get out of bed mode, sit up, and prepare for landing almost an hour before arrival. Here, you're still being served until literally 5 minutes before landing, which is so great on a short red-eye like this. After landing in a dreary, foggy Frankfurt, I asked if I could check out the upstairs, and the flight attendants allowed it. These overhead bins up here are massive, but it's just... I think it's fun. This is honestly where I would sit in the future. Although the nose is fun, I have a theory that the turbulence is worst there. Besides, the upstairs feels super exclusive, and you even have storage bins on the side, which solves one of my biggest complaints about this seat. Overall, I'm so happy I took this flight, even though I complained a lot, and even though Lufthansa business class is definitely among the worst in Europe, the 747 made the flight feel worth it just for the thrill of it. I hope you enjoyed seeing our queen back in the skies. I certainly did, and even more, I hope that you get to fly her soon. If you do, please send me photos and tag me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and as always, until I see you next time, fly safe, guys.